Hi, we're in volume 10 of the Bible story. This is the last book that I have of the 70-year-old books that I inherited. Well, my daughter actually re-inherited. Um, they've been around the place that I went for, they're 70 years old, and I remember them when I was little. And we had a set, and this is my husband's set. Okay, we are at, or I am, at part 3, story 11, God is Love. Okay? The last 6 books of the Bible, apart from the book of Revelation, are really 6 short letters. 2 of them were written by Peter, 3 by John, and 1 by Christ's own brother James. Some think that James was later the leader of the church council in Jerusalem, and his letter was full of good advice for the whole church. He told the people to be glad when they had trials, because trials would make them stronger Christians. If they lacked wisdom, they were to ask God for it. They were to be quick to hear, slow to speak, slow to anger. And they were to visit orphans and widows and keep themselves unstrained from the world. This, he said, was pure religion. But James' best advice was about the use of the tongue. He must have run into a lot of trouble from careless gossipers. Horses have bits to guide them, he said. Even as a ship had have have rudders, but uh, no human can tame the tongue. It can set the world on fire, even as small blaze can burn down a forest. Only God can keep it under control, and for this he must have wisdom from above, which at first pure, then peaceable, gentle, open to reason, fully mercy, full of mercy. Don't do not speak evil against one another. Do not grumble. Do not swear, said James. And the wisdom of God will prevent all these faults. Perhaps you and I need more heavenly wisdom to keep our tongues from saying the wrong words. Peter's two letters are especially interesting because he actually lived with Jesus 3.5 years. The picture of a kind, loving, gentle Savior painted for us in all 4 Gospels. It is confirmed by his writing. You were ransomed, wrote he, talking about Peter, not with perished things such as silver or gold, but with the precious blood of Christ, like that of a lamb without blemish. Put all Put away all malice and all guile and insecurity. Yeah, insecurity and envy and all slander. Jesus said, Peter set us an example of patience and gentleness. When he was reviled, he did not revile in return. When he suffered, he did not threaten. So, we should adorn ourselves with the imprintable jewel of a gentle and quiet spirit, which in God's sight is very precious. Finally, all of you, he pleaded, have unity in spirit, sympathy, love of the brethren, a tender heart, and a humble mind. Okay? Because he was sure Christ would return in glory to cleanse the earth with fire, he said, what sort of person ought you in lives be in lives of holiness and goodness, waiting for and hasten the coming of the day of the Lord? And it's a question. That's a really good question for us to ask ourselves. Turning now to John's 3 letters, we find that they breathe the same sweet spirit that won for him the name of beloved disciple or disciple of love. In his first letter, which would be 1 John, is to be found to be a test found the test of a true Christian. We know that we have passed from death to life because we love the brethren. It's love that matters most to God. Love shown by kind, friendly, compassionate deeds. Little children, John wrote, let us not love in words or speech, but in deed and in truth. Beloved, he went on, let us love one another, for love is of God, and he who loves is born of God and knows God. He who does not love does not know God, for God is love. There, 3 little words are the most powerful. Are These 3 little words are the most wonderful in all the Holy Scriptures. Strangely, they do not appear until almost the very end of the Bible story. Yet, in one form or another, they have been there all the time, all the way from Genesis to John. When Adam roamed the sinless earth, he must often had whispered to himself, God is love. And then it has a Quade painting. It has a horse with a bridle in his mouth, a boat rudder, and some ghostly hands covering up a boy's mouth. Um, that's an illustration of what it's talking about. Excuse me, and this is what you have: the horse with the bridle, the boat with the rudder, and the boy with hands to keep him from saying bad words or words that are not a blessing. Excuse me. Okay. Then the rest of the story says, when the ark rested on Mount Ararat, Noah may well have said to his family, God is love. When Moses took the tablets of law from God's hands on Sinai, he must have said, God is love. He almost said, God is love. Excuse me. When Israel entered the promised land, their grateful song said, God is love. When they returned from the captivity in Babylon, they cried again. In other words, God is love. When the prophets uttered their appeal and warnings, they were really saying, God is love. When Jesus came to dwell among men, he declared to everyone by word and deed that God is love. And when he hung on the cross at Calvary, there were no longer any doubt that God is love. The whole precious plan of redemption is indeed summed up by these three simpler yet greatest words in the English language. God is love. And then it is a Russell Harlan illustration right here of a girl in 1950 dress with what looks like a Bible, and it has God's love written everywhere on all the pages that she's showing. And there's the illustration. And we have finished part 3 of volume 10. This is part 3, story 11. And we are also finished up with part 3. Yay! So we only got one more part to go and some other stuff, and then I will be through reading the whole entire books. This whole entire book set. And I hope to see you in a little bit.